Well, today I thought I'd talk about the shops of Malahide in the 1950s. Now, Malahide was a fairly small place in the 1950s, but there was still quite a lot of shops in it. So, in order to sort of break it down into manageable sizes, I thought I'd just take one street and talk about that firstly. And the street I was thinking of was from the church down as far as the Diamond, the main street, in other words. So, the first shop there is now Neola. Previous to that, it was Billy Mars. Billy was very well known, and I was talking to him only a few months ago, and he was in great health and all very good. So people will certainly remember Billy, and they will also remember Teresa, who worked with Billy. However, what I want to do now is go back further before Billy Marr arrived, and in that corner there was two shops. The first shop I remember was Mrs. Coughlin. She sold cakes. I remember she had a cat, and the cat was always in the shop, so that would put you off a bit, actually, with cats going around the pastries. However, the second shop beside it was Ridgway's, and Ridgway's was a general sweet shop, paper, whatever. I knew Pat Ridgway, and he was about my age, went to school together. That was there for a long time, and then, of course, Billy Marr came along, and the two shops were put together into Billy's shop. It was a vegetable shop plus other things, but I always remember it as a vegetable shop, because Billy used to go into the market and get the fresh vegetables and bring them out every day, as far as I remember. So anyway, going on then to Hogan's. Now, if you look at old pictures of the Hogan building was a beautiful red brick building, quite a long building. First part was the house where the Hogans actually lived, and then there was a door from that into the shop. Now, this was a grocery shop. It was one of the main shops in the town for provisions. And in those days, most people would have a book. So they would go in for their messages, they take down the records in the book, and at the end of the week, you might pay them. Now, the family that was there, the Hogans, they from County Carlow, as I recall, and there was two other families, which I think were related to them, because they came up from the country as well. They were Lawlers and Hickeys, two Hickeys there. Pat did all the books, and Joe worked in the shop, and Joe lived in Millview Lawns, and Joe in a lovely cottage in Millview Lawns, which is no longer there because that whole area has been redeveloped, and Pat lived along the Dublin Road. Mr. Hogan himself used to be there sometimes. He had a stick. Seemed to be quite an elderly man to me. But up around Christmas time, I remember I went in one time, and he was there with a stick, and he says, oh, and he points the stick up at a box of biscuits, and I said, okay, get that biscuit for him, man. Gave us the box of biscuits. He gave presents at Christmas time, you see. I just remember that fairly well. Now, if you went further, the next little bit along, you would come to the pub. The pub was Hogan's Top Shop. The reason it was called a Top Shop was because they had another part of it down in the New Street, opposite Gibney's nearly, and that was their bottom shop. And it's now Fowler's Pub. And the two of them, of course, were connected by a yard at the back. So both of them, if you like, have passed out of the family, unlike Gibney's, which has been there since the year dot. As Mr. Hogan, I think the more senior son of his was Packy Hogan, and Packy more or less took over the business then when Mr. Hogan passed on. And then it was Packy who actually built the first supermarket and the shopping centre, if you like, down in Malahide, down where the old cinema was. Eventually Hogan's passed on, and it became Duffy's. Then after that, we had what was now the Mace shop. Well, the Mace shop at that time was Lawless's TV. Lawless TV and radio shop. It was two brothers. One of them was actually an electrician, but he also played in a band, and he was quite very, very well known. And the other one was a radio expert. Now, as far as I know, their son, Lawless brothers, still have a place behind the church up in Kinseely, in the industrial estate there. Lawless brothers are still there, and I think it's one of their sons running it. So that's just the first bit of the little journey around the shops of Malahide. And I think it's probably enough there to stop and we'll take another section another day, perhaps.